militia.
Inspiring extremist groups to mob the Capitol.
The best illustration for what the Oath Keepers are happened January 6th.
A man who lived in Colorado for more than 20 years testifies before the January 6th committee.
Plus, lawmakers reveal new testimony from former President Trump's closest allies talking about seizing voting machines in states' Trump laws.
I saw absolutely zero basis for the allegations.
Twitter sues Elon Musk for backing out of the deal to buy the company.
And not out of the pandemic yet. A new COVID-19 variant is making up nearly half of the cases in Colorado.
BA5, it could be just a couple of weeks and you can get infected again.
And we begin with breaking news just outside of Morrison. You are looking at a 1-acre fire that's burning on Mount Lindo near Willow Springs, which is just on the other side of Highway 285 from Red Rocks. You can see some pretty intense smoke out there, certainly some flames as well. We know a few homeowners have been told to evacuate. About 60 homes along Highway 285 and Highway 8 have been sent a pre-evacuation notice.
So this fire is now being called the Snow Creek Fire. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has opened an evacuation center at Bear Creek High School. And from Air Tracker 7, we have seen crews using a helicopter to make water drops here on the fire. And we have a Denver 7 crew on the scene to bring you updates when we learn more. And we're also monitoring a brush fire in Aurora. Aurora Fire says this one near East 56th Avenue at Hudson Road. This is not far from DIA. Not sure how big it is yet or if any structures are threatened, but winds are making the flames hard to control for firefighters.
Come this way! Come this way! Leave your bags! Leave your bags! Come this way! Come this way!
Also developing tonight, Denver 7 received this video from a passenger who had to quickly get off his United flight at DIA because of a small fire under the plane. Now, airport officials say the plane from Kansas City, Missouri, landed safely at DIA. No passengers were injured while exiting the plane. We have reached out to United to see what exactly caused that fire underneath the plane. Today, the House Select Committee held another public hearing on the investigation into the January 6th riot at our nation's capital.
And today's hearing focused on the connections former President Trump and his associates had with right-wing extremist groups like the Oath Keepers.
A former Oath Keeper who testified used to live here in Colorado. So we begin tonight with ABC's Justin Finch.
Good evening, and some very tense moments for some Capitol Police officers who were watching that hearing and were in the room just feet away from two witnesses who have now admitted their roles in the deadly Capitol insurrection. That riot would leave 5 dead, including 1 Capitol Police officer, and left 140 other officers injured. A bombshell moment at the close of the House Committee's 7th hearing.
After our last hearing, President Trump tried to call a witness in our investigation, a witness you have not yet seen in these hearings.
Committee Vice Chair Liz Cheney saying they will take any effort to influence witness testimony very seriously, and that the Justice Department has been alerted after that witness who did not pick up Trump's call contacted their attorney. A dramatic close to a dramatic hearing that focused on a crucial timeline tracking the activities of Donald Trump and his allies from December 14th, 2020 through January 6th, 2021.
President Trump is a 76-year-old man. He is not an impressionable child.
Clips from last week's videotaped testimony of Trump's White House counsel Pat Cipollone feature prominently in the hearing. Cipollone saying he believed that Trump should have conceded the election after more than 60 court hearings found no proof of election fraud.
If your question is, did I believe he should concede the election at a point in time, yes, I did.
The committee focusing on a heated meeting on December 18th, which included the former president, lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, and retired General Michael Flynn. Cipollone was there too and says he opposed the efforts of the other Trump advisors to seize voting machines in states Trump lost and other efforts they were proposing to overturn the election.
I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice.
The panel also highlighting this tweet posted by Trump on December 19th, 2020, reading, "Big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there, will be wild." The committee calling that tweet a call to arms for Trump supporters.
This could have been the spark that started a new civil war.
And the committee has revealed it's uncovered evidence showing far-right groups, the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and the Florida 3%ers all agreed to coordinate together for January 6th. That is something those groups rarely ever do. The committee also says it has learned that the call to march to the Capitol on January 6th from Donald Trump was not spontaneous, but that it had been discussed amongst rally organizers days before the Capitol riot. There is no date set just yet for the coming hearing, but we do know that it will be focusing on the actions of Donald Trump on January 6th. On Capitol Hill, I'm Justin Finch, Denver 7. Ann?
Okay, we look forward to hearing more. Thank you, Justin Finch with ABC News.
And as you heard, the committee today heard from former Oath Keepers spokesman Jason Van Tatenhove. He lived here in Colorado for more than 20 years before moving to Montana in 2020 to join that right-wing group. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon going deeper on Tatenhove and spoke with someone who worked with him in Estes Park.
Jason Van Tatenhove lives right here in Estes Park, and in his testimony today said that January 6th could have been the start of the next civil war. Van Tatenhove worked as the spokesperson for an extremist group called the Oath Keepers. Those with the Southern Poverty Law Center say they're a right-wing, anti-government organization. Van Tatenhove himself even calls them a violent militia. In an interview with our partners at the Denver Post, Van Tatenhove said he worked with the Oath Keepers for about a year and a half between 2015 and 16. During his testimony today, he said he saw the member base of the group drift further into the alt-right and white nationalist world until they eventually just became, quote, straight up racist. I talked with a man who worked with Van Tatenhove at the Estes Park Trail Gazette, who says his testimony today is trying to work with the system to make it right.
Jason realized that they were actually like Holocaust deniers and beyond. So it was like he got seduced into this hate group thinking they were constitutionalists when really they didn't have good intentions at the heart of what they were doing. So when Jason saw that, he was able to get out of it, and now this is like his whole redemption process.
Tonight at 6, we're taking a closer look at extremist views here in Colorado and what's being done to curb those in our state. In Estes Park, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
You can read a full recap of today's hearing on thedenverchannel.com. You can also watch our in-depth coverage on the free Denver 7 Plus app, available now for your streaming device.
Twitter has officially sued Elon Musk in a Delaware court for violating its $44 billion merger agreement. Twitter is seeking a court order forcing Elon Musk to have to close the acquisition at about $54 per share. Musk publicly backed out of the deal last week, claiming Twitter violated the agreement by refusing to disclose information about fake or spam accounts on the service.
So you're probably going to be hearing a lot about the Omicron subvariant BA.5 in the next few weeks. Doctors say it appears to be the most contagious variant yet and makes up now the majority of new cases in the U.S. Denver 7's Patrick Perez is live in the newsroom.
And Patrick, doctors are concerned because it may be escaping immunity.
You know, and at this point, you may know someone who's COVID positive or is recovering from it. And it's fair to say that many of us have put our guards down, but this subvariant is a good reminder as to why we should not. Aurora Councilmember Juan Marcano is finally COVID-free after battling the illness for nearly 2 weeks.
It took about 10 days for me to actually start finally testing negative.
His symptoms included a fever, chills, congestion, fatigue, and a mild loss of sense of taste and smell.
You don't feel the symptoms until a couple days in, and then they hit hard, and then they dissipate.
He thinks BA.5, a subvariant of Omicron, is what got him, which he suspects he picked up at an election party.
I have a pretty good constitution, but it knocked me out for 3 to 4 days.
And it's possible, as it's making up nearly half of all new cases in Colorado, according to CDPHE.
Whatever the variant is, we are hopeful that in the coming weeks we'll start to see a decline. We have seen some stabilization in our numbers and some indications that in the coming weeks we'll start to see fewer cases.
Still, the White House is concerned about the variant as it may have an increased chance at escaping immunity.
To some extent, that means it can do a little bit more damage than some of its predecessors in terms of strains of Omicron.
That's why the White House is recommending you have a stock of masks and tests at home, especially if you think you just have allergies.
When you have a runny nose or a stuffy nose with the current levels of spread, very likely it could be COVID-19.
BA.5 is also showing people can get reinfected a lot quicker than previous variants.
BA.5, it could be just a couple of weeks and you can get infected again.
Like many of us, Juan admits he let his guard down, something he doesn't plan to do again, at least for now.
I'm going to be masking up everywhere I go now, regardless of how I feel. It's what I can do as a courtesy to everyone else that I'm around, because I didn't feel symptoms for 2 days.
And in addition to having masks and tests at home, the White House also recommends that you are up to date on your COVID-19 vaccine. That means getting your booster if you haven't already, and of course seek out treatments that can reduce your chances of ending up in a hospital. In the newsroom, Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
It's just really incredible just to see, we're looking far back into the distant universe, back in time.
Taking in all of the awe of the universe.
So the earliest galaxies that we're seeing are probably 13 billion years old. So we're literally seeing backwards in time.
NASA reveals new images from the $10 billion James Webb Space Telescope to get some of its technology from right here in Colorado.
It just looks like somebody just drew a bunch of glitter, but it's real space, and that's cool.
Plus, how many Colorado drivers admitted to getting behind the wheel after having a drink out?
Back to the 90s today, and tomorrow it gets even hotter.